Everyone, welcome to this week's edition of Winter and the Mailman. Unfortunately, the mailman could not be here due to family emergency, but today with me I do have Gering track and field coach Rick Marez and athlete Lucas Moravec. So how are both of you doing today?
Great, brilliant.
Okay, so obviously crazy weather we've had, and I know this week, from what I've heard, is going to be moved up an hour. So how has this affected practice for you as a coach and you as an athlete? And you guys can go in whichever order you want.
Okay. Well, first off, thanks for inviting us to come out and share some stories about our team and our program. And that's a good question to start with because Lucas is used to my style of coaching, and I think the new kids have a bigger struggle with it because we run in every weather. So whether it's snowing, windy, rain, sun, we're outside. It's a struggle sometimes to meet our marks. A lot of the things we do are very scientific and very specific to what I want them to do, but when it's 40-mile-an-hour wind, it's hard. When there's 6 inches of snow, it's tough, but we go outside, and I think, we modify the workouts, but as a whole, the attitude stays the same. We have a lot of fun, and we don't have a lot of snowballs being thrown around sometimes, but we make the most of our opportunities regardless of the weather.
You look like you had something to say about the snowballs.
I mean, when there's a lot of snow out, there's a lot of snowball fights. But yeah, thanks for having me here. I agree, like every year, no matter what the conditions are for the weather, we're always running. So it wasn't really a surprise for us when it was 60-mile-an-hour wind or whatever it was, that we were running outside still. And I mean, there's construction going on over by the high school, so it's a bit dusty too. So it's been interesting. I mean, it's definitely helped us later now, like in the season, for Best of the West and the bigger meets that matter.
So obviously, how's it affected like you guys with meets, especially when they get postponed?
That's I think for the kids, it's more of an effect on whether or not they miss school. And Lucas is a good student. I think the more time he can be in the classroom, the better. But being involved in a lot of activities, and when things get switched around, it really affects them more in the classroom. I modify the workouts a lot. I rearrange our schedule a lot to accommodate any kind of change. But even this weekend, for me, if they were to cancel, I just modify the entire week. If they push it up, I think it works for us because a lot of times at the state meet we run in the morning, and most of our meets are in the afternoon. So it would give us some experience of running in the morning. But I look forward to those challenges, and we accept it, and I work with a lot of kids that we don't make a lot of excuses. I think I try to make more excuses than they do in that regard, but they just take it in stride and they compete the best they can no matter what.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, no matter what time the track meet is, we're always ready to go. Marez has taught us to be ready for whatever conditions, just like the weather, whether it be a different day or whether it's snowing out. I mean, we're always ready, like no matter what.
So this is a question that I've asked you previously, right after the Sydney meet. I'm going to ask you again just because I don't know if it's changed. So since that meet, has there been any athletes that have been trying new events?
A little bit. Back then we were putting everybody in everything. In fact, Lucas wants to run a 200. And he's a mile 800 guy, 400 kind of guy. Well, he hasn't tried that, but I keep pushing him towards that. But he's going to try a 200. My son will try a 400. He's been running 800 miles, so he'll try something new. What we're really getting into now is some of the kids want to focus on a specific event now because they're seeing success. And once they find their niche, I think that's what we're trying to do. We talked about Jacob and Carmelo being the two out front that can do everything. And I like that now they see where our success is going to be and they want to be a part of it. And I think that makes us better. So we do try to do some things different later in the year. It's kind of a tradition now for the distance kids for somebody to drop down and run a sprint. And Logan Andrews was our guy last year, and it'll be Lucas this year. And next year we'll have to find somebody that will try that. But we're starting to get down into the very specific events that we think we can have success in.
Why do you want to try the 200?
I mean, honestly, I've done the 800 and the mile my entire life. I don't know how it would go if I was in a sprinting event. So I mean, senior year, might as well try something new. And if it goes well, then maybe the 200's my event.
So what did you think of that human tunnel yesterday?
I thought that was cool.
That was awesome.
That was cool.
Yeah.
I think, going to Lucas's 200 real quick, I think we get the distance runners get the reputation that they're slow. I think there's the misconception that a lot of times they're slow. You get somebody like Maddie Seiler, she's fast. Eli's fast. Jacob, he's fast. They're quick. We just don't run the sprints. And I think when you put us in an environment where they have to be fast, it's cool to see that they do have that speed. The 4x4 is a combination. We have distance runners and sprinters. Two different training methods, but the idea is to be fast for one lap. We had some kids that were nervous about that, but then when they saw that tunnel, they were like, oh, if I'd have known we were gonna do that, I would run that race for that. I thought it was unique. I applaud Scottsbluff for trying it, because that's a hectic race to start with, and for them to invite the parents down, families down, and then put all the kids on the track, that's gutsy. Those kids, I heard them say, gotta keep your arms in, because they want to stick their hands out, but I thought it was cool. It was different for sure.
It looked like there was a struggle trying to figure out how to get around the teammate that was handing off.
That little pack.
Yeah.
And Lucas, he can attest to the fact that that's what state's like. Those exchanges are just like that, and I thought that gave us a chance. It was a learning experience for us. One of our guys said, I didn't know how to get out of that craziness, and we have strategies, and we practice specifically to get out of that, and he's experienced it at the state meet. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Were you one of the ones in the tunnel?
Was I? No, I was not. I was cheering from over a little bit further from the finish. That's kind of our spot at every track meet. We go there, and our team knows where we're at every time.
I think that would be fun to just be in the middle of that, though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It was cool, and we have a traditional spot where I sit. Every meet, I have my little corner that I sit at, and the kids, when they're done with the race, it's right off the finish. So when they're done, they can come over, take their shoes off. We evaluate the race, and they're warming up. They're right there. I don't have to chase them around. And Gering, over the years, has had a tendency to be late to the line, so they're warming up, and we try to warm up right up until race time. So for us to be in that corner, like Lucas said, everyone knows where we are, and I know where they are. It's not necessarily a camp that's set up, but it has that feel, because that's where you know where to find us as well, because that's where we're going to be.
Well, in Sydney, you guys were just eating snacks under umbrellas, so
that's what we do.
Yeah.
We enjoy our environment. That's one of the things that I promote is having a relaxed environment, and I think a lot of programs, when they see what we're doing, having the snacks and having a good time, it looks like we're not competitive, but when it's time to compete, I think historically Gering runners have been successful, and our methods aren't your usual old school type stuff, I guess. I'm more of a rah-rah kind of guy, and I like to find the positives in everything that we do. And I can tell you a funny story about that Sydney meet in that corner. I once found these pretzels. They were the thin ones. I had never tried them before. And there was a bag, and so I tried one, and I ate the whole bag. And Peyton Seiler, he graduated a year ago, but he came back to the camp, and he was like, "Who ate my pretzels?" And nobody said a word, and I finally had to raise my hand and said, I did. And then when he knew it was me, he's like, "But did you like them?" So they were so good, and they're really good. I still eat them to this day. They were absolutely fantastic, but he was upset with me for a little bit.
I remember that.
That was funny.
Mm-hmm.
well, it's like you don't touch people's food.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, they were just sitting around, and that happens in our corner. Sometimes if you leave snacks around, chances are somebody's gonna have a few.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you maintain a team dynamic? Because obviously track is somewhat of an individualized sport. Either one of you.
Honestly, we warm up together, we stretch together. That's like the main thing to keep us all focused as a team. But when it comes down to the events, you cheer for your teammates and let them know that you're encouraging them, so that we want everyone to do good from Gering, because we're all representing Gering Bulldogs, and you got to stay true to the blue and gold.
Yeah, wow, he hit it. Yeah, that's basically what we promote. And one of the advantages I have coaching the distance group is that I have a lot of them in cross country, and we promote. They hear it all the time for me to support one another and cheer for each other. Once the race goes, they're on their own and they can compete and run the best they can, but Lucas's success is also the other guy's success. And in fact, I just had that talk today that we talk a lot about, you don't hear me say very often that they ran a good race, it's we ran a good race, because we invest in each other. And that's a great question, because that's a struggle in most sports, is to have that team dynamic. And when it's individual like that, the team concept can sometimes get lost. But he's absolutely right, we stretch together. I modified it a little bit, because the throwers, the jumpers, we ran a mile to warm up last year, and they struggled with that. So we modified it a little bit, we do a walk jog, but our stretches are together, the warm-up is together, and then we split up. But they get to see each other every day, there's the communication, we joke around, there's maybe a little too much messing around some days, but I think that's how we promote our team environment, is knowing exactly what everybody's doing and believing in each other.
So what are the goals, obviously, as a team and individually?
Like for districts or?
In general. Like if there's like a record you want to break, or like a PR, or just anything.
Honestly, PR is great. I mean, winning a track meet, that's always the goal. I'm thinking that for districts, like final meet, qualify in as many events as we can, and have a chance at going to state with a solid team for plenty of kids to get the feel of what it's like at Burke Stadium. Very cool, and continue to grow the program throughout the years so that younger kids can go and experience what it's like with the big crowds at Burke Stadium, and just carry that throughout the rest of the program.
Yeah, I would agree. One of the things we stress is competing at the highest level, and sometimes having the PR is, in a sense, the victory. That's the goal. I can share the story I gave today. The young man from Alliance at Best and West in the 2 mile celebrated, and I think we decided he was third, maybe fourth. But the way he celebrated, we immediately knew what he was celebrating, and we could all buy into that, because that investment in yourself is important. And those are some of the goals that we have, process goals that we do individually to make ourselves better, which in turn make the team better. So we do want to qualify for state. We have some kids in events that we know what times we want to hit. Some of the kids have specific marks that they want to hit right now, so that they know in 3 weeks they're ready to go. But the goal ultimately is to compete at the highest level, and like Lucas said, maximize our ability to take the most athletes to the state meet and compete at the high level. Last year, I think nearly every kid we took down there earned a medal. I mean, we just had a couple who did it, and that was awesome, because sometimes we don't always have the most numbers, but the quality is important to us.
So then what was the reaction when Sydney had broken that meet record?
That's
Was it
cool.
the 4x8?
That's fast.
Yeah.
That's fast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I've watched those guys since their freshman year grow. They've really matured. You can see the way they compete, the way they handle themselves. It's fun, because they represent the western part of the state. And even in cross country, watching those kids get stronger and faster and more confident, and watching them go down to the state meet will be fun for us as well, because we get to see them on a daily basis. So if you're going to run against the best, you might as well see them on a weekly basis, because right now they're some of the best in the state, and that's awesome that we had a chance to experience their state or their meet record, because I've been a part of my fair share of meet records, and it's fun.
I think I saw from Omaha that they have the second fastest time across the state, just in general. I think they were only trailing Fremont from a few years ago.
Really?
Yeah, that's what we were talking about at practice today.
I heard them talking. I don't usually look up the times. I don't see those statewide. I know the athletes do that more so than I do, because they keep track, and I like to watch a good performance, and that 4x8 that Sydney threw out there yesterday, that's fun. But they've had it coming. They had those same kids last year, and I can see their strategy's a little bit different. I'm gonna guess their training is a little bit different, but they look good. They're fast. You gotta admire it. You gotta appreciate it when they're that fast. I don't want to be the slow leg on that team. How do you tell someone I'm the slow leg, but I can win every race if I were to run it individually? So that we cheer for them as much as we can until the gun goes off. And then we don't until it's over. But no, they ran a great race.
Was there anything that you wanted to add to that?
I mean, I kind of want to say that I kind of take credit for it too, because, you know, I've been growing up with those guys for running against them for as long as I can remember. It's always been competing with them. Last year, it was us. I mean, we never beat them, but I'm sure that us being there, our presence, it pushed them to run faster. And I'm pretty sure they got second at the state meet last year, and they were always looking at us when it was in Western Nebraska, the meets here. They were always looking at us, trying to beat us. And I mean, going down and representing Western Nebraska, that's awesome for them.
So going into Western Conference on Friday, so how do you and the rest of the coaches decide any of the entries for any meet?
I think the jumpers are a little bit easier for us because there aren't as many of them. So I visit with the jumps coaches, and they kind of let me know. Like high jump's easy because we have 4 kids, so they all go every week. But Coach Johnson with the long jump, he'll do jump offs if they need it, so they'll do that. So if there's any kid that's close, they'll have a jump off, so we can make sure that everybody has an opportunity. We don't want to take the same kids over and over if we don't have to. We want them to grow. We don't want them to give up on themselves. The throwers do the same. I talked with Coach Ochoa, and if he has 2 kids that are really close, they'll have a throw up. But we usually we take the best marks. When we look at the running events, it's a little bit trickier because the sprinters aren't quite so difficult because they don't need as much recovery time. The distance group, they can't run the distance events back to back. It takes some pretty good talent to be able to do that. And we have kids in the area that can do that, but we have a lot of discussions about trying different things, which goes back to the question about trying new things. Now we're going to try to be very specific on what can we qualify in, how much time do we have, what's our best bet. Our girls 4x4 dropped like 12 seconds yesterday because we shifted some kids around. We're going to try something different. So you'll see that in the next couple of weeks of different kids running different things, but we just try to have those conversations weekly. We talk to the kids a lot. We get a lot of input, which is how he'll end up in the 200. And I'm open for them. Anytime they come and ask me to try something different, I'm all for it. I don't want them to feel like they can't have a conversation with me, and I think that's one of the strengths of my coaching is that relationship that I build with each kid and making sure that they know that they can have a conversation with me and feel free to try something different.
So Western Conference Friday, the Alliance meet that had got postponed is now on Monday. So obviously it's a quick turnaround.
Mm-hmm.
So how is everybody gonna recover from just like a 2-day recovery period?
Well, we don't.
Yeah.
We don't. And so the struggle will be that short turnaround and lightning load so that we're fresh at the district meet. And with GNAC allowing us 6 entries, we may not take anybody to Alliance, so that would give us an extra day. But that's short, and we've talked the last couple of days as far as our next 2 meets being on a Tuesday. That's new to us. I think a lot of Class A schools run on Tuesdays a lot. We don't. And our district meets usually Thursday, and then state was always Friday, Saturday. Now it's Wednesday, Thursday. So we're gonna have a little bit of a struggle in that regard. Prom's coming up. That's gonna take out Saturday and Sunday. They're gonna be tired, and we have to compete on Tuesday. Yeah, that's tough. I've never really had to deal with that, but that's a great question because I'm gonna have to figure that one out, do some planning, and I like to know weeks in advance what my schedule is, my workouts, and so when these things come in there, that's a challenge. But like I said, the kids respond, and they're all about competing and running as often as they can. Especially as a senior, you're starting to count them down.
Yeah.
Wants to maximize every opportunity.
So what about for you?
Honestly, whatever Marez says goes. I mean, if we have to run on Tuesday, we have to run on Tuesday. I mean, the Best of the West track meet being 4 days after our meet in, was it Mitchell or? No, it wasn't Mitchell.
Burns.
No,
No,
Best in the West? Twilight.
Oh, it was Twilight.
Yeah,
Twilight.
Burns got
Sorry,
canceled.
Yeah.
Burns got canceled. Twilight.
Yeah, we have Best of the West, and then hearing that we almost had a meet tomorrow, 2 days later, that was a little bit scary, but I mean, I'm sure we were all ready for it.
What would that have been?
They debated moving Sydney, the
Yeah.
conference
Oh,
to
okay.
Payson.
Yeah.
But that's a short turnaround, and I think other schools felt the same, as that's too short.
Mhm.
So we're gonna roll the dice and see how the weather holds up, and if worst case scenario, they cancel and gives us an extra day of training and recovery to get ready for the GNAC meet. But that's hard because they wanna run multiple events, but we also wanna be fresh at the end of the year.
Okay, well, that's all the questions I have. Is there anything that either of you guys wanted to add?
I don't think so. It's great to have a chance to come in and visit, and I know you and I have talked at meets, and we appreciate your coverage, and we like that you highlight some of our kids. You know, I can't get everybody, but the idea is that we enjoy when you're down in the corner and visiting with us, and we've had a great season. The wind is a little frustrating. Going home after practice, like you mentioned, the dirt, and you go home and you can feel it in your teeth and your mouth, all that dirt blowing around, but
Oh, yeah.
we're having fun, and I hope
Wind
the
burn
weather.
on your face?
Yeah,
Mhm.
pretty much. So we're having fun. We're counting down the days. Lucas will be gone soon, and good luck to him and down the road, and hopefully we can finish strong.
Mhm.
That just gave me another one. What's your plan going forward after this?
So next year I plan to go to UNL, study business and maybe technology as well. Just get a feel for 2 different majors, and then go from there. I don't really know what I'm gonna do with it, but that's kind of why I chose business, because everything involves business. I'm sure there's a lot of business in the newspaper. Technology, I mean, that's very important nowadays. Twitter, Elon Musk buying Twitter, that's very big. Quick question for you.
Yeah.
Can you subscribe to this channel?
So this actually goes up on YouTube as well, so you can.
Okay.
Oh.
So, like and subscribe, folks.
Well, if that's it. Thank you both for joining me today.
Thank you.
For more sports coverage, you can go to star-herald.com or pick up a print edition anywhere you can find them. And you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel and see more videos, whether it's sports or just news in general. And we will see you all next time.